Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of RE Radar. Once again, I'm your host and realtor, Nathan Mathisen, and today it is just me, but I'm still going to be providing you with some great information, as that's what RE Radar is all about. Providing the listeners with the best information possible to help you guys understand real estate a bit better. And today, how I'm going to be doing that is talking about when you should be buying a home. And then I'll also be getting into a random city again, of course, because it's a solo episode. That's what I do on solo episodes. Take a look into a random US city market and see what it's doing. Now, obviously, the question of when you should buy a home is very determinant on a person often. So with that in mind, what I'm going to be doing is bringing the pros and cons of each time of the year and each time for when you should be buying. What's good about this? What's bad about this? For you to then take that into account and make your own decisions that fit your schedule best. Now, also just a warning as well, this is also going to be somewhat more market dependent than a lot of the topics I talk about, because one of the big factors up here, especially in Seattle, is the weather. That has a big determining factor on the market. So a place like Florida or Arizona might not have as much of these effects, or maybe they do. I don't know those markets as well. But I would think a place like Oregon or overseas, Denmark might have a similar weather as here, so it could be similar effects to the real estate markets during those times of year. Now, let's just jump right in, and first up on the docket of what can affect you buying, that's interest rate. And interest rate is something that you cannot control, but it does have a determining factor on what you can buy. Every 1% change in an interest rate is a 10% change in your buying power. So let's say, taking for example, interest rates are 7%, around 7% now. Let's say it's 7% interest rate now. You can buy a $500,000 home. Interest rates drop to 6%. Your buying power is now increased $50,000. Vice versa. If it's 7% goes to 8%, you lose $50,000 in buying power from that $500,000 home. So obviously it's best to buy when interest rates are lower, right? Well, that's not always the case, as I'll get into here. And this is kind of the market we're actually in right now. Interest rates, like I said, are around 7%. There's talk about it dropping at some point this year. And there's just a bunch of buyers waiting. And the buyers are all waiting. They're waiting and waiting for those rates to drop, and then they'll enter back into the market. Take a step back and think about what I just said there. There's a whole group of buyers just waiting to enter into the market when those rates do drop. What's that going to add? That's going to bring some big competition. And that is going to cause issues for you as a buyer if you wait with this group. If you are waiting and you are reacting to something changing, you're going to be behind the eight ball and you're going to miss out. You're going to get a worse deal. As when interest rates are high, the market understands this and the market reacts to that. Home prices are typically a little lower when there's higher interest rates because the market understands. The market understands high interest rate, people can't afford to buy as much. So the market has a little bit of a cap. It just doesn't quite go through the roof. But when those rates are low, home prices are higher. Home prices increase. So if you buy now with high interest rates, you're more likely to be able to get a home for that lower price than if you wait till the interest rates drop. Home prices are going to increase. And it's not just about the home prices increasing, it's also about the competition it's going to bring. And if you were to buy now, less competition, lower price, when those rates do drop, you refinance. So you got that home for the lower starting price, and then you end up getting that rate down the road. Now, obviously, though, this isn't possible for everyone. that's the difficult part. When there's the high interest rate, your payments are going to be higher. I mean, in a market like Seattle, you're never going to get really low priced homes. So it's just going to be a steeper entry fee for people. So I understand that. And in that scenario, then it's tough and it's just a difficult situation for you. And that's the market we're in right now. But if you're in that situation where you can afford to buy right now, this is the time to go. This is the time. It was actually the time a while ago, but you're running out of time now because when those rates do drop, it is going to bring that wave. And it'll be like those COVID years when the interest rates got dropped way too low and caused a complete frenzy out here in the market with homes going over 100,000 above list price, so many offers on every home. It was just a feeding frenzy, and it was so hard for people to get the homes they wanted at the price they were really comfortable paying because there was so much competition. So with that in mind, as I'm saying, it will be harder to buy if you wait for the interest rates to dip down, as more people are going to be coming into the market trying to buy. And sorry for this little switch up. I had a lighting issue, so I'm trying to get it right, but I think I have it now. So we're just going to keep on moving along. Now, another factor to take into account here is the time of year. And that, again, this is one of these more market dependent situations with Seattle. As in Seattle, the winter months, the real estate market is much lower. The lower median sales price in the winter months compared to the spring market, and it's consistent every year with these trends. Since 2018, May has had the peak median sales price in Seattle every single year aside from 2020. So that's 5 of the 6 years May has been the peak median sales price, while December, January, February have all been the clear low points. So again, what does that mean? Does that mean you should be buying a home in the winter instead of the summer? Again, not necessarily. There are these pros and cons. In the winter months, inventory is much, much lower. I'll have pulled up here on the video a chart here showing this, that homes for sale in Seattle, and you can see it. Each year, the spikes and the drops are consistent with the winter months and the spring months and the summer months. Over the past 10 years, during some of these years, there are over 1,000 more homes on the market in August, September as there were in February, January. So if you're looking to get a better deal on a home and buy in the winter, there will be less homes available for you to be looking at. There will be less options. So let's say you're looking for a very common, very basic, very normal home, then maybe it would be okay for you to go in the winter. You're going to get a lower price, and you just got to hope, though, that what you're looking for is out there, as it might not be, especially if you're looking for a more rare thing that you don't see as often, unique styles. You very likely wouldn't be able to find that in the winter, unless you get lucky, of course, which could always happen. What you'll be seeing here is it's really a double-edged sword. You're going to get pros for each area, and you're going to get cons for each time. And what I'm doing here is just laying that out for you guys. Laying out what's a pro for when, what's a pro for then, what's a con for then. And then you can decide what works best for you. And again, if you want more personal stuff, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to help you out. But again, real estate is so dependent on the person and the situation. Now, continuing on, talking about some pros and cons of different times of the year and what you want to take note of. The basic simplified version is in springtime and summertime, the home is going to look as good as possible. Home's going to be in the best light because it's the best light then. Nicest weather, sun shining, less rain. So your home is going to look better in the spring, summertime than in the winter. The winter is going to be cloudy, dark, rainy, wet. So if you're looking at a home in the winter and you love the appearance of it, you're going to love it even more in the summertime, more often than not. And in the springtime, summertime, maybe the home looks great, but in the winter, depending on, trees and different factors of this area, it might take a hit in the winter in terms of appearances that you were not expecting if you were not aware of these ideas of how you're not getting as much sun, you're not getting as much of this great light. And that seems like a very basic, simplified concept, but it's something not everyone might think of. And that's what I'm here doing, helping you guys understand some of this stuff. Now, though, not only is it aesthetically going to look worse in the winter, but more often than not, the potential defects of a home, you'll be more easily able to identify them in the winter. And this is such as a roof leaking or foundational issues with water. And you're going to see that more because the moisture is going to be much more present in the winter than in the summertime. In the winter, you're going to be getting rain, you're going to be getting snow sometimes. And another switch up here, I am battling that sun here in my studio area, but we are getting through it now. Continuing on, as I was saying, within the winter time, you're going to be able to see that moisture much better. You're going to be able to identify leaks in the roof better because you're going to be able to really smell that moisture in the attic space versus in the summertime or springtime when it's been dry. It's going to be dried out. You're not going to be able to identify that moisture as well. That could be a pro for you, as it's going to help you see this stuff. Versus in the springtime, summertime, you won't. Now, another downfall, though, of buying a home in the winter, it's seen as a time that people are less eager to move. People don't want to move in the winter times. And that's due to partly because of the holidays. Part of the holidays, you've got Thanksgiving in there, then you've got the December holidays, which a lot of gatherings, family gatherings, sometimes travel, and people just don't want to have to deal with a move then. And that's part of the reason I feel that the inventory is then lower, because people don't want to move. If you're someone, though, that maybe that doesn't affect you as much and you're willing to accept the move in those winter months, then it could be beneficial to you, as like I'm saying, people don't like doing it then. So there is less competition out there for you to have to battle over homes for. And now getting into a different time of the year, let's talk about a bit into August and September. The gap between the nice months and the more cold, wet months here in Seattle. That time period could be pretty beneficial to someone for a buyer, as during those times, a seller could be much more eager to offload this property and get it out of their hands, get it done with before the winter months hit. A seller might be looking to sell and then maybe they have to move themselves. So they're really looking to get all this done before November, before December. So if a home's been on the market for a little bit, come August, come September, you as the buyer, you could have a better opportunity to negotiate and get a better deal for yourself than in a different month when there is that competition and when the home's fresh on the market. So this is talking about more stale listings come August, come September. Now again though, if you're a seller and you're in a position to, you might be beneficial here to take it off the market and put it back on come springtime. But again, real estate's dependent on the situation. For a lot of people, that might not be an option, as they might be needing this home to sell to then move somewhere else for work or for whatever reasons it may be. Now, that about wraps up all the different time periods and pros and cons that I've come up with so far for you today. Again, if you have any personal questions on your own situations, feel free to reach out to me. Now, today we are doing the dive into the random U.S. market, and the market that we have found today is Toledo, Ohio. And if I'm remembering correct, that is the first Midwest state for us to be looking at. So let's get into that Midwest real estate market. So in 2024, Toledo population was 262,336. Population's declining, though, at a rate of 2.93% since 2020, when it was 270,266. And has this had any effect on the real estate market? Now, for my out-of-country listeners who might not know as much about America, let's get into it a bit with Ohio. It kind of gets a bad rep within America. It's seen as not a desirable location, and that takes a toll on the real estate market, as we are about to see. In April 2024, the median home list price in Toledo was $118,000. Extremely cheap market compared to Seattle, as well as the other markets we've had a chance to look at so far on RE Radar. Now, that 118,000 median list price, though, is actually trending up. That list price is actually up 18.1% from April 2023. Last year, it was $99,900 for the median list price. It was under $100,000. Now, however, the median sold price is a little bit better. This past April, it was hovering around $133,000. And then the year prior, I believe, I'm pulling that up actually right now, that it was $110,000. So then that previous year as well, median sold price was above the median list price at $114,000 compared to the $99,000. Now, what type of homes are on the market in Toledo? Are they cheap because they're all run down, or what's up? Well, not exactly. I mean, here we have pulled up a freshly renovated 5-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom, 1,688 square foot home that is listed for $149,000. This home's been on the market though for 36 days. The average market time in Toledo this past April was 27 days. Now, if the common real estate trend continues, May is going to have a lower on market time, making this 36 days on market for this home a bit of a note. So that just speaks though towards the Ohio real estate market overall is not in the best situation. And if y'all recall though, when we touched on the Louisville market, when I had Ian on RE Radar with me, that market was also low priced, not nearly as low. It was more in the $200,000 range. But one thing of note that Ian talked about was how the rental cap rates, you can get a much better cap rate in Louisville than in Seattle. I'd imagine with this such a low price in Toledo, you could get a better cap rate in Toledo for a rental than Seattle. Now, I don't imagine it being as good as Louisville though, but I don't quite have the time to dig too deep into that, as that is all the time we've got for RE Radar today. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you ever have any questions, reach out to me, and have a great rest of your day. Adios, amigos.